Hello everyone and welcome to today's review session. Today I'm reviewing round 2 games from NAOL Season 20. I have 3 games to look at, so without further ado, let's just jump right in with the first game. First game is Fred 8, 5Q as black versus Coal River, also 5Q as white. So let's jump right in. We get a cross opening. We get the approach. This is all fine. Even extending 3 from 2, that makes sense. White approaches, that also makes sense. Black backs off. White plays here, and the opening in this game is quite good, actually. Very impressed. Black backs off, that's fine. White also protects the corner, that's also fine. And then we get kick into pincer here. And even here, white plays a very nice move of playing at R8. And R8 is nice is because if you immediately help these 2 stones somehow, black's going to be able to get an approach to the lower right corner, and now Q10's in a very nice spot. So getting R8 is helping the upper right 2 stones because it's creating a connection underneath. So it's protecting the lower right corner as well as helping the 2 white stones. So it's a multi-purpose move. It's a very nice move. And black plays again, and again, this does make sense, putting more pressure on the 2 stones. White jumps out at 2, or with 2 spaces, I should say, and then black descends. This is probably black's maybe first mistake, just because it makes kind of this area almost uninteresting. Now, I know black is creating some sort of connection to the 2 stones on the right side here, but black should really want to try to keep the pressure on these 3 white stones. Black can protect these 2 black stones on the right side by keeping white weak. Always remember, the strength of stones is relative to nearby enemy stones. So if you can almost continue attacking white here, let's say white tries to attack from this direction, because white is also weak, it's not like white can go for an all-out attack here. So yeah, playing N16 affects the upper side as well, and again continues to attack the 3 stones. Whereas when you descend like this, it's protecting the corner, and it is, again, creating that connection there, but it's not putting any extra pressure on the 2 stones. If anything, it's making the 2 stones here, the 2 white stones, worth less. Because if you ever, let's say black ever threatens to separate them somehow, well, now when you've separated them, this S15 move is now almost wasted, because if you threaten to separate first, you wouldn't then add S15. So S15 is kind of making the 2 stones smaller. So since you can keep attacking white on a large scale, you should just keep attacking. And this is the spot to do it from. Because it's the move that white should actually take, or one of the moves white should take. This really helps help the 3, now 4 stones, and it is pretty forcing, because if black ever does ignore, let's say black protects, white descending, now white's building the top side, but now playing a move like S14 for white, now black is sealed in. So that's why S15 is a okay move, but it's not, let's say, interesting. The fight kind of dies down a little bit when you play this descent here. And white jumps out, and that's a nice move. Black shoulder hits. That's also nice. And white immediately goes into the corner. This is okay, but generally speaking, shoulder hits should be treated as sente. They're not fully contact moves, but when you go elsewhere and your opponent answers, you are now outnumbered liberty-wise, right? Black has 5 liberties, white has 3. So while you're, as opposed to an attachment, which is now it is technically a contact play, shoulder hits should be treated as contact plays. And so whatever white does, I think white should play something towards the stone. White probably didn't want to stand up either way, but that's where white can play almost a pincer, if you will. Where if black does now descend, well, now this stone at L3 is going to be attacking black. But when you go elsewhere completely, again, this is locally obviously a fine move. But when you end in gote, black now gets to follow up on the shoulder hit. So, yes. And with this as well, I think the Atari is okay, but since you can do that anytime, I think it's better just to save it. Just save it, and yeah, because if you play here next, you are now threatening the D5 Atari, which is quite big. But after you have played this Atari, now you can never play the D5 Atari. So you've actually strengthened black by playing the B3 move. So whenever you take an Atari, just make sure that's what you want. And always remember, Ataris are generally Sente, so it could also be a co-threat that you're using up as well. So yeah, always try to keep them in your back pocket, if you will, until you know you want them. Black descends, white stands up, black extends, and then white comes in. And this move is probably playable, but the way white played it definitely favored black. So when black goes here, I would still just play e4. As soon as you play e4, your bottom side is so much, it's 100% alive. And again, when you get sealed to the sides or the corners, it's kind of all they do. They're just kind of stuck there now. But if you get this move, e4 is not only threatening to attack the bottom side for black, but it's also threatening to come into black's left side. So, because in a few moves, we'll see black gets to go here. And when black goes here, and then white blocks here, if black were to hane, you can see white's starting to get pushed down. And with combination with this Atari, white might not even be able to hane because of this cut here. So, and notice that this direction for black is very nice for the left side. So I would just do this. And again, if black fixes the weakness on the bottom, whether I jump or even just come in immediately, again, I can attack the upper left and attack the lower left this way just by getting e4. And it's not technically a ponuki because ponuki is you capture a stone, but even if you can make this shape, it's a very strong shape. But white comes in, and again, this is possible. White has to make a decision here now, though. One, white could play by haneing and then Atarying on top, and then flattening black like this. Force black to take the side while white takes the center. And again, what benefit would taking the center have? It now opens up the left side as an invasion spot. It means the lower side now, the lower left for white, is 100% alive. And we could potentially build the center as well. So this is possible. White could also play this way by playing the Iron Pillar. Iron Pillar is threatening to connect at N2 or K4. So, or not K4. If black plays K4, we play N2. If black plays N2, we could technically probably still play this, but we can connect back if we play at J2. And now black does not have a base. So again, this would be force black into the center and try to attack black. The other way would be taking the center and force black to live small. But what happens in the game, white hanes and then tries to separate by playing this Atari. Yes. But, yeah, after this, white realizes, oh, I actually can't cut here because I get captured first. So white has to Atari downwards, and now white's the one with... Because, again, the thing is, the reason why this variation... where is it? I've lost it. The variation here is okay for white is because the bottom side is not that big. So, like, if we compare the amount of points here compared to the amount of points white gets here, it's not that big of a difference, which means it's not a big area on the board. So white doesn't actually want to take the side like this. Again, this way is okay, though, because black still hasn't captured any stones. Black is just kind of floating in the center. But when we do it forcefully like this, black's able to capture the stone in the center, like so. And so now white's flattened into the corner. Black has taken the outside. And again, white's gain here is not that big. Again, technically getting P2 did make white a little bit more solid in the corner, but that wasn't what was important in this fight. So, yeah, this move's also very nice. And this is good to know is usually you want to fix by playing the mouth shape. But in some cases, you can play almost like a big table and capture. And this is nice because it threatens to surround. Black goes there, or white goes there, and then black goes there. Yeah. So, yeah. So very good result for black. Again, white got pushed down in the corner. Black took thickness and even captured a stone, and white didn't really gain that much here. And technically speaking, white's not even alive yet in the lower left either. But white goes elsewhere, and white goes here. This move is possible, but you have to be willing to treat things lightly. So remember these two stones here? When black threatens, well, first black goes here, and white lived. And then black goes here. White blocked here. This was the perfect time for white to give these up. Because remember, as soon as black played S15, those two stones got smaller. Because if black ever surrounds them, black would rather not have S15 on the board. Because it meant black spent an extra move on the inside of their own territory. But if you notice this kind of shape happens, white could actually all of a sudden build a pretty big topside. And it's because white is connecting back to the M17 stone. But when white went this way and black threatens to split, now white's made the two stones even bigger. So now white can't give them up because now they're kind of the full 4 stones here. And white needs to do something about the topside stone as well. So I think this is possible for white if you simply block here. Otherwise, once again, you want to play the shoulder hit. And this is going to keep your connection, especially if you value these two stones, it's going to keep your connection a lot better. And because one thing to keep in mind through all of this is, remember, black ignored your P8 move. Since black ignored your P8 move as white, there is actual value. Let's say something like this happens. There is value in blocking at S14. These two stones are now pretty weak all of a sudden because of this P8 stone that you played. So there is value in keeping them. So I understand white, in a sense, doing that, but then in that case, why play towards the top? It would have been better to, again, shoulder hit, or even just descend right now. White goes there, so then white covers, so black connects. And then white jumps here. The shape itself is a little weird. There is a knight's move here, so white wants to fix that somehow, but this doesn't really fix it. And again, the space here is big enough that white should be okay, but yeah, again, if anything, white really should want a hane here. This starts to connect up your shapes, and if black ever tries to cut, remember, when black cuts, black is also separated. So even though we're separated, black's two stones here also need to live. So, and you can see getting L15 and M15 means the top side starts to develop into a white territory as well. Whereas if we simply just jump here in black, even just hanes or even just shoulder hits, like, yeah. And I know M10 is trying to reduce black's left side as well, so I do realize that as well. But white attaches. White has the right idea here, but it just doesn't work in this case, doing the attachment into clamp. 99% of times it's going to work, but just in this case, because of the double peep, it just doesn't work. So white lost a little bit there. Sure. And white goes here. And again, think how nicely that would have been if white had played from the top side as opposed to the the right side here. Black comes in. Once again, white should simply just cover here. If black hanes, or cuts, playing L15 attacks not only the K17 stone, but this cutting stone here. Yeah. There's just, I don't know what black would do. Maybe, black would probably play lightly, but then again, at least white now is connecting up the shape there, their stones there. White leans. Black jumps here. This is very nice, because there's a very nice Tetsuji here for black. And this is what's very important. So black wants to play here, right? But white can connect back, and we can't really capture, right? We get captured first. Okay, so I know that this move threatens to, if white does something else, obviously threatens to capture. But there are other moves that threaten to capture as well. For example, this move threatens to capture. If white simply had blocked, black could capture, and now white can't get enough liberties. Okay, that makes sense. So is there another move? Because if we do go here and white fixes, our shape's still kind of weak because we have a diagonal with a cut here. So is there a better move for us to play? There is. We can play at G17. And notice G17 is threatening to save or capture these 2 stones. So it's doing the same purpose as H18, it's just more efficient. And again, getting better is all about trying to be as efficient as possible. So this move threatens to play K18, but also, if white prevents K18, now when black covers at F16, it just cleanly cuts off this G14 stone. Cleanly. No ifs, ands, or buts. So, yeah. Black had a really nice way to play here, but when black does it this way, and black had to fix, the shape was not going to be as good. And even here, black needs to just hane, like this. When white played this one, or when black played this one, white should just stand up and try to fight here. Now black's heavy up top, so whatever black ends up doing, right, there's a fight here at least. There's a fight here at least. And yeah, black's going to pay, even if black can live here, black's going to get reduced on the left side somehow. So, yes. When white just connects here, it kind of gives black what black wants. So, yeah, and then after that, it kind of, after black was able to reduce the top side and cut off this G14 stone, they do play towards the end game, but that was the main crux of the game. There's a very cool move here. So black ignores B5, and then white tries to get a little bit more. So if white had just cut, this works. Cutting here just works. Not only is there going to be a net eventually, but also there's a clamp here that captures the stones there. So there's a cut there that works. So when white goes here, black should try to find a way to fix that weakness. So black can play a move like B6. So maybe white was trying to ask for a little bit more, or maybe white thought it didn't work, but yeah, black can just fix. When black pulled back here, it didn't actually fix the problem. But I like how black ignores this, because you have to keep in mind, even though white's taking out your territory, white's not making points. So it's not as big as it might seem if there's bigger things to do. Black makes a mistake here. Do we do that? Cutting across is okay. White plays the jump. Tari. White comes in. That's nice. So white gets separated up top. Very important point here. If you can live by making your base bigger, it is better than playing on the inside. So in the game, white took here, and this makes white alive. But notice white plays on the inside of their territory. So playing a move that expands your base, as long as it makes you alive, it would be better. So in this game, white should play at M19. Because if black reduces the shape here, black can't kill. But if black ever ignores, white can play, there's a very nice endgame Tsuji here at the pinch. When you pinch at this diagonal, black's unable to separate this stone because we have M19. So playing at M19 would affect the corner. There's endgame there. So again, trying to be as efficient as possible is so important. Same thing here. So there is a weakness here. If black goes here, throw in, Atari, capture. This would be game over. So in the game, black fixed by taking, but then white could just take. But this is a one-dimensional move by black. Black can instead go here. And this threatens to capture the 2 stones. So if white saves the 2 stones, now that squeeze would not work because white can't play at K5. But if white takes the 4 stones, at least now black can take the 2 stones. So just the little minutia of just saving a few points here or there is just so important in Go. Same thing here. There's no problems here with this cut. Because white has that extra liberty at L13, no problems there. So yeah, counting liberties is so important, but just trying to be as efficient as possible is also very important. But yeah, even with all that said and done, it was a pretty close game. All the games today were actually very close that I get to review. But yeah, black by 13 points. So yeah, I think white, just how you handled these upper right stones and how you handled the bottom was a big turning point, and I would look closer into that. And black played you played pretty solidly actually. yeah, just look for a little more. Again, you could just be a little more efficient than you are being right now, and just trying to find these other moves that you maybe just didn't consider was gonna help. It's gonna help you a lot. But yeah, that's it for game number 1. Let's jump over to game number 2. We are back. Here is game 2. We have Arunas 8K as black versus BryanX 8K as white. And I just said the games were all close. And that makes sense because all the games were actually against even opponents. So, yes, we get this. And I recognize this, what happens here, because I'm sure I've looked at this before. But we get this honey on the inside, Atari, and then extend here. So I have talked about this in the reviews past, but just as a quick overview, if what white does in the game, white does, if you will, this is going to be a good result for black. Yes. So, yes. Yes, black is very familiar, yes. Yes, and it seems like your opponents are not as familiar with it. So it's a good sequence to know. What white can do, though, what white does not want to do is immediately play anything in the corner. White wants to play out into the center first. Yes, just to see how black's going to play. Yeah, this move here, because later white might want to play this cut. Maybe white wants to play this one, but immediately doing this makes the 2 stones in the corner heavier, and now white kind of needs to save them. So, yes. So we get this. So notice white ends up playing that shoulder hit anyways, but now white can't change what white does in the corner. So push there, play here. Yeah, and right here, push. Black can definitely just cut right now. Yes. Yeah, because... Exactly. Yep. A lot of Go is simply just who can count to 5, right? It's you learn about liberties way early on in your Go career, but like it's like almost especially in a fight like this, it is everything. And liberties is a theme in this game, as we'll find out. I think again, Haneng is also okay, but when white goes here, definitely want to cut now. Because now white is even weaker on both sides. So if white like plays here, we can push, we can Atari, we can cut, and we can squeeze somehow like this. And it's just almost GG already. So yeah, this is the kind of danger, and it's simply by just seeing white has 2 liberties with these stones, 2 liberties here, with this cut here, 2 liberties. So yeah, so for white, yeah, probably just extend here. Yeah, connecting here, the Hane at the head of 2 stones is too big. So yes, cut, play there. And again, if anything, going after just the 1 stone there, you can at least go after the 2 at least. Would be a little bit bigger. It even means when white Ataris, which white does in the game, we don't have to fill at 018. We can just capture now. So, and yeah, white doesn't even have the chance to save here because then the Dongo on this side gets captured. Go there. So white gets this Atari. So this actually, since white got this Atari, these 2 stones have lost value. So yeah, white can treat the stones a little lighter now. So cut is okay though. And white goes here. All we need to think about is shape. Where is the shape point of white? The bamboo spot. So if black just takes that, again, it just hurts white's shape. Notice white can't even connect because it gets captured. If white Ataris, it doesn't really help that much. So just simply by looking for shape points, like taking away your opponent's shape point, it's like that's a good starting point at least. Yeah. Because if white, let's say white extends here, again, just by counting liberties, this ladder, does this ladder, I guess the ladder doesn't require, so it's a little more complicated, but again, even if we can just squeeze like this, just look what happens to white's shape, right? we can even lose these 4 stones now, and just because we've squeezed white down by so much, it's so painful now, right? White has all these stones worth no points. So yeah, or I don't mind what black did in the game, but this is again where order of moves is important. So if you want to play here, A, B, C, just play at C. Just play this. Just play this. Because if white makes the bamboo joint, going here, all this does is, 1, it threatens to capture this stone, right? Now white can ladder this stone, but also it took away one of your own liberties, which could be very important. So, like if black had just done this, white can't capture this stone now. Black could just maybe fix this weakness here. So the only point of pushing, and this is generally true, if you're going to push, then just cut. And again, I think this is possible. You're alive up top, so white capturing this stone, black's right side is so efficient, right? It's so big. So yeah. So if you're going to push, you should cut. Otherwise, just play the move you're going to play and then go from there. So you go there. Yeah. So you do that. White Ataris. This is good timing. See if you do care about those stones, and you do. So we get this. And then we play inside. Yes. It's probably still better to just crawl on the second line until... Yes, and while crawling on the second line is pitiful, and it should feel pitiful, the benefit of it is playing here reduces your own points. So you're at least getting points this way, and even if white ends up blocking, let me just double check. Yes, you are alive no matter what. So you never have to spend a move on the inside. Yeah, and that is generally true. You want to crawl in the second line until your opponent blocking is not sente. So as long as this move isn't sente, it's okay for black. But this is, again, where, like, even here, if you imagine, if white's going to be alive anyways, it's better to give white just 10 points in Gote while I keep the whole right side. Because, again, realistically, this kind of exchange probably cost you 10 points minimum, right? You got pushed down to the second line, worth just 3-4 points here. White gets the outside anyways. So, yeah, this is a case where, yeah, probably better to just fix and take sente somehow. Yeah, especially, remember, white spent a move kind of like in the first review when black played that, like, upper right move to, like, threaten to connect. White played a move at S19. So white wouldn't play S19 if these 5 stones were already captured. So white only plays that because white is cut off. So if you give these up, white wouldn't play S19, right? Like, what I'm saying is, if you gave it up here, right, white would never then play S19. So you've already gotten your value out of these stones, basically. Yes. Yeah, because your feeling is correct that crawling here did not feel great. But we get this. Yep, this is fine. And then we get here, yes. And general rule of thumb, whatever move you choose, you want to prevent white's tiger's mouth. So whether you play this one, or this one, or this one, right? Anything black chooses, you don't want to give white that tiger's mouth. So when black makes their own tiger's mouth, white makes their own tiger's mouth, and white's shape here is very efficient. Is very, very efficient. So just whatever you do, even just playing here first and then playing tiger's mouth would be better. We've just reduced white's shape a little bit, or a corner a little bit. There's now a weakness here in white's connection. So yeah, that's why just breaking it is so good. Whereas here, white is now fully connected and the corner is even bigger. We extend, and this is the best way to peep. So I know I talk about this peep. I don't know if taking credit is the right term, but I would like to think I've influenced this move here. Maybe even a little bit. But yes, this is the proper way to peep at a 3rd or 4th line cut. So this is very good. Okay, yeah, then maybe I shouldn't compare myself to... But yes, this is the proper way to peep. Yes. And we see why. We get this, yes. Yeah, this move, the thing with this move is you're already connected. So you have Sente here to do anything. Yeah. Like, it is true, like, white gets, maybe some endgame here, but, like, as long as you're alive, the difference between you having no points here and, like, 4 or 5 points there is not that big. Yeah. But black goes there. And then white goes here. So this is another key spot here. So this move, yes, and your feeling is correct. Yes. So the proper move if white wants to do anything here is to play this one. And because it threatens the same thing, but just without taking away, like white played a move that already had lost a liberty. And even if, like here, maybe white felt like white needed to make something happen on this board and like needed to make something work immediately. But even just Haneing, because white could, if black covers here, cut. And this would create a very crazy sequence of something like this. And it's probably slightly better for white, believe it or not, but it's not great. Or it's very complicated. And yeah, it's kind of unnecessary. So even if white just connects here and forces black to connect, like, there's no need to, white doesn't need a home run right now. Even though after the upper right, white might feel the need to make a home run, but white doesn't need to do anything crazy there. So this is the move that would help that or make that happen. And again, maybe it's better for black to just cover this way, and yeah, but it's better than the move white played. Yeah, this is just, everything black did here was perfect. Besides one move. One move. Black almost played perfectly here, besides just one move. And simply right here, can white live on the left side? No. So if black simply just fixed here, white's already dead. Okay. Yes. Yes. Because what happens is, when black plays here, remember, if white's already dead, this move technically loses a point because white's already dead. But especially when white goes down, even here, believe it or not, black can fix this way. Because even if white hanes, white cannot save the stones. So, yes. But when white cuts here, yeah, now white takes the outside. And this is kind of what happens is black takes maybe locally good results in a lot of places, but in the grand scheme of things, right? What's the saying? You won the battle but lost the war. Yeah, black maybe got a good result in the upper right and a good result in the left side, but combined, white was able to make a big center. So here, if your opponent has a fourth line stone, you need a very good reason not to play in the third line. Because when you play in the third line, it creates Aji of coming into the bottom side. And there's no great way for black to prevent that. Like if black kicks, there's still a weakness at L3. If black descends, it's K4 is now in a funny spot. So unless you need a very good reason to play this way. And so for black, just attaching, playing where white should have played is just, again, a very important move. There's now less Aji on the bottom side, and now you're threatening G2 or cutting here. You've created a weakness in white's shape now. So, yeah. Attaching on top, it's the right idea, but yeah, at this stage, the center is still not that important. So, white goes down. And then, again, this is probably the big final point here. White came in. The problem with coming in is whenever you invade an area, yes, and once again, your feeling is correct. You need options. And so when you invade an area, if you have 3 options and directions you can play, that is perfectly fine. Because even if your opponent takes out one of them, you can take another one. So for example, like on an empty board, let's say black wanted to play on the left side. This move, why does this move work? It's because black can extend to the upper left, expand to the lower left, or jump out. So even if white takes one of them, black can take another one. If you have only 2 options, right? Let's say black went elsewhere, white even went here. Okay, I've never heard it called in the land or in the sky. Yes, that's perfect. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and so if you had like if you played here, like this is okay because even if white takes one, you can at least take another one. So three options is great. Two options is playable. But if you notice on the bottom side, white really can't go to the left. There's a peep here, but that doesn't really help white live that much. And can't expand to the lower side. So white only has one option. So black takes the one option, which black does. Yeah, this is going to be painful for white. White takes there. And black has the right idea here, but just the wrong execution. So when you play this one, notice black has a double peep, right? You have double one space jump peep. And so that's something's going to crumble. So always remember, just back off a line. All you got to do is back off a line, yes. Okay. Okay, yeah, I like that. I've heard him say something similar with scorpions as well, right? You want to like stay away from scorpions, but yes, exactly. You don't need to seal as long as white is dying. It doesn't matter how you seal it in, right? It's gonna get captured anyways in the net. Yeah. So here, yeah. So black has to pull back here, but then white does something very strange. White can just hane here, and this is gonna live. Yeah. White, this is just a live shape. It's the same shape, actually, we got in the other game, the first game, up top. It's the same kind of shape here. But yeah, white can live somehow. But white goes here and then cuts. And again, even here, there's weaknesses in black shape if white has cuts. So, yes. But white extends and lets black fix. So now it's a lot trickier. Just say it's a lot trickier. And again, I think white should still try to come out in this direction somehow. Because black can't break through because black's weak on these two stones. But yeah, when white goes here and black just covers, now, yeah, there's less Aji there and white cuts. So here's, so you were asking where does this fall apart? So pretty much right here is where things start to not fall apart necessarily for black, but if you can capture this, let's say if you black connected to the left side here, white is completely sealed in. Black does not need to spend moves on the inside, right? Because white's just dead. If stones are dead, you don't need to capture. But notice, even taking this ko here, you're kind of filled in your own territory there, and it's like it allows white to, as we see, play this big move in k7. This helps white surround the center. But if black had just hane'd here, white can't double hane because of their own double Atari. There's no problems there. Take. Even here, this move doesn't help white live. It's not Sente, right? So if you just did something else, it would have been okay. But yeah, you answered, white gets to go there. Even filling in here, you could have at least taken the ko or just jumped out here, right? Get liberties. Because here's the thing, white has a finite amount of liberties because white is sealed in. So as long as you have more liberties than white, which it's kind of complicated because there's kos involved, but I at least know white has like four-ish, right? 4 to 5 liberties maybe. If I have a ton on this J line, I have a ton here. So yeah, it's just playing. What black needs to realize is black's playing on the inside of their own potential territory, aka losing points. So yeah, and then like with this move here, as long as these stones are captured, black can play a little bit faster into the center. Black doesn't need to just play from this jump because white can, yeah, play here. Turn, play there, peep, play there, that's fine. White goes here. Then jump, yeah, even here, black can just hane, and it's very hard for white to capture the stone, even if white cuts. Just because white's going to lose something somewhere, right? White's so weak on these two stones. This stone only has 2 liberties. But just jumping here is just kind of lets white seal off the center. So then black does this, and this is kind of the final kind of hurrah here. This is totally fine for black if black simply just connected. Because there is technically a ko here, but remember, White has actually very few liberties, and also black has local co-threats. This cut is a threat, this extension's a threat, Atari's here are local threats. So this is basically an unwinnable co for white, but when black fills it in, white's able to separate off the center. And we even see here, even right now, you have 5, black has 5 liberties, white has 2. Black adds an extra stone. So not only did black have to end up playing all these moves to capture these stones, so every move black played made the capture smaller, white was able to capture the center, and that's kind of what led white to win this game. So, yeah. And then, yeah, same thing here. This is a move black never needs to play because white can never play at 8, 11. So black is kind of bleeding points in this game. So, yeah, and white even tries something here. Nothing quite works. But yeah, just go to endgame. Yeah, just white was able to get enough points in the center. And even though black captured the bottom side, again, you could see how much black... Even black had to add a stone at the end, right? So, yeah, it just... When you capture stones on a large scale, it's kind of worth a lot. But notice black only captured the individual points there. So it's not as big as it could have been. So... Yeah, and I think the final result was... Let's check. Yeah, it was still close, white by 7. So that means on the board it was a tie on the board then. So, yeah, it's pretty close. That's pretty close. So, yeah. Yeah, do you have any final questions on it? Okay. Taking the cut. Yes, taking the cut and... Just be a little more confident. There's a lot of, like, what do you want to say? Like, liberty scared, almost, right? Like, feeling like, oh, let me just simplify this position. But as we see in this game, it can cost you the game if you do that. So, yes. So, yeah, let's move on to game 3. Okay, we are back with game 3. So let's jump right in. We got black, who is Dave H_CDN 9K versus white Harvei, also 9K as white. So let's just jump right in. And again, like all the other games, this game is very close throughout. None of these games had really big swings, which is nice to see. We get this. This is all natural and makes sense. Extensioning here is also very nice. White fixing is very nice as well. Black fixing here, while maybe not the biggest move, locally it is a good move to play. At this stage, though, it's probably slightly bigger to just play somewhere else, some unfinished corner, if you will. And if white really wants to try to capture the stone, you almost say, okay, white, you can have it. Because it's actually quite hard to capture the stone when it can still run out. It can still threaten to connect under or on top if white captures the stone. So it's actually quite hard to actually capture the stone, whereas when you play this does fix the area here. But once white plays P10, the right side here is pretty much 100% solid. Once white fixes by playing the 1-space jump. So yeah, it's a good move, but there's probably slightly better moves. But at 9K, this is a totally fine move. White goes here. This move is interesting, and as you get better, you kind of want to how should I phrase this? You want to play in a way that threatens follow-ups. And what I mean by that is it is slightly better for white to play here. And the simple reason is because let's say black were to come in somehow. If white wants to make a base with this stone here, white now makes a 2-space extension, right? It's a very natural way to make an extension. And for black can't really make a 2-space extension. It would just hurt that stone. So black's extension here is not as good. Conversely, though, if we play here and black plays at J17, now our extension here is only a 1-space and black's able to get the 2-space extension here. So just thinking about the follow-ups, like the direction is okay, but the follow-up, even if black doesn't play locally, white's follow-up is a lot more natural, right? We just get to play the 2-space extension, but when we play this one, it kind of makes this area here almost not interesting for either side. So It's again a minor thing, but just to kind of highlight that this is how you want to start thinking about your kind of where to play on the side, right? Like, because it's a big question of, okay, how far can I extend? Where should I extend to? You want to think about the next move you want to play. So since the next move I want to play is N17, I'd rather play at K17. And again, if black does extend here, because it is true, it does allow black to get the extension there, kind of like on the right side, if I just one space jump, I'm getting a bigger area compared to black. And it's simply because I'm on the start point line. So my upper left is going to be bigger than black's upper right. So yes. So just think about how you want to kind of continue after you've played a side extension. But black doesn't do that immediately. Black goes here, and this is fine. And once again, because I have students, and as my students get better, they kind of they have to play, like, what they learn gets more advanced, right? And that obviously. But so starting out, if they get a Joseki right, like my DDK students, that's all I hope for, right? If you get the Joseki correct, like, that's a gold star for you. But as you get better, choosing the right Josekis and basing your decisions on the board is kind of then what I start to look for. So in this case, whenever you have this bottom right Joseki, it makes the side of the one space jumper, so in this case black, it makes this side for either side very uninteresting. Neither side should want the bottom side at this stage. So when white plays here, while it is more focused on the corner than the side, it is still asking, okay, I want to stay out towards the bottom, which is not that interesting. So instead, because of this board position, white should play this variation. And if you've never seen this variation, the whole idea is you have to be okay with getting kind of sealed into the corner. But if we look at this result here, this is the normal follow-up. There's other moves, but this is maybe the most common. Black extends. Black pokes here, or pinches here. White has to fix. Black jumps, and we get this variation here. Black has to connect. White cuts just to see if black answers, and then white does something else. This is kind of the whole problem, quote-unquote problem, for black taking the bottom. Is if black ever blocks at H2, white can always reduce it with the shoulder hit. And in fact, in the game, white does end up playing the shoulder hit. So the bottom side here is not valuable. But if black plays from this direction, then white can always just come into the bottom side still. So the bottom side is just not that interesting when you have this Joseki here. So white should play in a way that almost gives black the bottom because it's not that valuable. But again, maybe at this level it's okay as long as you're playing Josekis, but you want to start thinking about how is, based on what's already on the board, can I play differently because of it? So yeah, black extends, goes here. And I think this move is okay. I think this approach is fine, but this move might be asking for a little bit too much, only because these three stones here, right? So if white plays C12, this is a common Joseki follow-up. Black will take here. And again, usually white will play here into this, and then we get this Joseki here. Something like this. In this case, I think black has the ladder, so white can't even play this way. But that's why, instead of playing this way, white can then pincer these three stones next. And now, it's kind of hard to see a great way for black to continue here. Again, these stones aren't going to die, but now these stones are a liability. They don't have a base now, or not a very comfortable base. So I like the approach here, but I think black should just back off now, like this. Black has gained a little bit because if black went here immediately and white went here, it's as if black was able to get white to play this move in response. So it's still worth it for black to make this exchange and then back off like this. But white just answered, and then we get this. White gets here, and we kind of saw this in the first game where white should just separate. White should simply just separate. So for black, again, the bottom side is not interesting. or you should feel it's not that interesting. By interesting, I mean it's not really developable. It takes a lot of moves to develop that side, and if it takes too many moves to do something, it starts to not get as worth much. So here, I would just maybe push up, see if white answers like this, and not that I would go elsewhere, but now you could maybe play clamp. This is a nice follow-up. Yeah, there's just better ways to now play towards the bottom. Even jump here is a little bit nicer. Just playing in a way that lets you get separated probably isn't the best idea. Because, yeah, this move's very painful. It does damage the corner, by the way. So, yes. White just extends, though, and then black covers. White goes here. Yeah, again, after this, since this forced black to make a tiger's mouth and hit, and you hane it at the head of 2 stones, it's probably better for white to just do something else. Now, white goes here. So this move is fine, but, and really, realistically, this game, all the moves both sides are playing is fine. They're good moves, but if both players want to get better, you got to start to think about the better moves, right? There's more that you can get. So here, white should play this shoulder hit, and this shoulder hit is it's not a joseki, but it's a joseki continuation from the upper left. Because whatever black does, black has to cover. Then white can cover here. And notice this starts to build their top side on a large scale. Right now, white is asking to get, and white's not going to get all of it, but white's asking to get almost 8th line territory potentially. But when white plays just here, white's almost limiting the potential of those stones. And keep in mind, if black does try to come in somehow, white can now use these stones white just played to attack the stones, the black stone black just played. So white goes there. A black shoulder, this is fine. That is fine. So I like how black did this because black treated the shoulder hit lightly and didn't continue. But here, yeah, definitely want to play something to expand the left side. B17 is okay, but yeah, it's probably better to build the left side. Black goes there, yes. White goes here. So black does something similar, where black should really be thinking about, and again, I look at this move because it's a large knights from my stone at d6, but really thinking about building the left side. Whether I play here, whether I play at f15, this is a nice move to get. But black ends up playing here, and this is almost limiting the potential of the left side. When you have a strong shape in the upper left and a strong shape in the lower left, you really can think about building on a large scale. Even playing maybe this large knights here from the C11 stone, just trying to build that as large as possible. Plays there, white plays here, and here, this is a nice move for white, a nice move for black. Better to attach here because we want to treat this stone lightly. Because in the game, the stone gets heavy here, and now our shape is very ugly as white. So by attaching here, even if black captures the stone, remember, black's with the stone at P15, black has a stone at Q14, or answered with a move at Q14. That means white hasn't lost anything, because it's a captured stone for a stone played on the inside. So yeah, attaching here would just be better shape for white compared to this one. So this is good for black. Black jumps, white fixed, black jumps. Again, this is nice. This threatens attachments at G17. And then white played here. And this is, again, why timing is so valuable. This is the same move I suggested here. It's the same exact move. And in the game, if black played the move black played in the game, it would not work. Black played here because white could just connect back. White could just descend. It would just be crazy to try this. But when white did it here, black caps here. And this move is perfect. This is the perfect move. So, yeah, it's just, you got to do it sooner rather than later. Even if you don't know what you're doing, just play the exchanges first and then forget about them. Because your opponent can play differently if you wait too long. So, place there. And covering back, so remember, you are attacking white. So whatever you do, if white ends up dying anyways, you don't need to play from the inside. So this is just keep white surrounded. Just keep white surrounded. It's very hard for white to make two whites here. Like if white hanes here, even just, you can connect back to the upper side and you can see white has nothing much going on there. It's just white's heavy, white's completely sealed in. So yeah, going here is okay, but yeah, again, similar idea with this one. Capping here, you can just keep attacking white. White is so weak here. Play there, jump out. So white does get a come out, but it's not a great result because white hasn't made any points. Hane jumping in. Yeah, white should just, again, white has a weak group, so white shouldn't ignore this cut. Black takes it, that's good. Black attaches. Black takes, yeah, that makes sense to me. White hanes. Cut is okay. Yeah, cut is okay. I actually want to attack the left side here. So that's when you play away from that side. So I would maybe play this attachment here. And the idea with this attachment is I'm happy if this stone gets captured. But the basic premise of this move is if white goes after it, well, let's say we clamp, white fixes. Let's say white wants to capture the stone. Notice how we are actually weakening the left side here. So even though we lose the two stones here, we are purposely doing that to try to capture the left side instead. So if you want to attack one side, you want to play away from it. So black should play away from the left side to try to attack from afar. And if white says, oh, I'm weak, so I have to live in the center, then obviously black gets really good profit in the upper left. Because normally, if white didn't have a weak group, white would just answer normally. So this is a great result for black as well. But cut there. Always just take the stone. If you just take the stone, this is threatening to separate. Because we see in a move, black realized, oh, I actually can't separate still, so I have to fix. But then white could fix anyway. So if you just capture, take the stone off the board, white now can get separated. So, yes. Yep. General rule of thumb, if you can take the stone off the board, just take it off. Because stones on the board, even if they're captured, still have Aji. So, yeah. Yes. Play there. Yeah, Hane. Jump. Yes, because black saw this attachment, but if black actually did it like this, and let's say white fixed, now it works a lot better. Because now, if white plays here, white's shape is not as good on the outside. So if white plays something like this, and black just hanes, again, white has a lot of problems here. Because if white tries to hane, this is a double peep. So, yeah, and if white just does something else, it's just black's now just breaking through white's wall there. So that's why being able to take that stone off gives black a lot more opportunities. Whereas here you can see there's not like any weaknesses in white's wall now. Yeah, here, this is a case where this is a flower cone. A flower cone is a cone that if I lose, I don't lose much, but if my opponent loses, they have a lot to lose. And so this would be a flower cone because if white connects, black could actually connect here and white cannot capture because of the double Atari. So if white fights this ko, though, we can tell this is a flower ko for black because it was white's area to begin with. So black doesn't lose anything if black loses this ko. And now black can just gain something somewhere else. First off, white needs to find the first ko thread as well, which I'm looking around. Maybe this is a ko thread. Okay, maybe that's a ko thread. But now, okay, black can just do anything and get two moves somewhere, which would be worth it. Let's say black pokes here. Okay, if white ends up taking the area that was already white's, then black has gained something elsewhere that black normally wouldn't get. So black should definitely try to fight this ko. Now again, it looks like black thought this just worked, but yeah, 3 liberties to 4 liberties. Yeah, black is captured. Okay, and that happens. But yeah, this is also a big spot. White goes there. We go here. And realistically, again, there's... Yeah, here's an interesting move here. Is pushing. Notice how that fixed White's shape. You forced White to make a tiger's mouth. Whereas later, you never know. But later, you might want to peep here. Like this. So, have you heard the saying, if A, B, C, just play C? Have you heard that before? Okay, yeah. Does that make sense, or is that kind of like gibberish at this point? Okay. Yeah, and... Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so... Yes, and that's once White jumps at P10, yes, R8, there's potential there if White hasn't fixed. Now, here's the thing, though. It would be better if there was Aji there, or it would be better to still just play this, because you're still... Yes. Yes, because it kind of as you said, it kind of, if you're watching the last game, you're giving up a liberty on these two stones, right? So you're slightly weakening them, and if you play this, and... Like, let's say, for example, you pushed and then peeped, right, and White connects. It'd be as if White connected by going here, and then you push still. So you can see you don't actually need to push to threaten that cut there. But if White does something else, then you can do you're still threatening to do the push and cut. So, yeah. But yeah, I do see what you mean now, though. But yeah, White goes there. And again, realistically, there's... a little bit left. I think there's one more key thing here, but again, realistically, this game is very solid by both sides. It was just a little minutia here and there that both sides could do a little bit better. But overall, very, very good game. Very, very good game. Black's also getting very good end game here. I'm very impressed, actually. So I think here, there's actually a big move in the center here where White can Hane like this. And this, notice, threatens to capture this stone at... Yeah, yes. Well, if you fix it, White can't cut immediately, but even if White connects and you have to fix, that's all in Sente, whereas when you fixed, now you get all the points there. So, like, you were able to gain a lot of points in Sente here, because you got this descent here, you got this Hane into this Hane, you got this diagonal here. This was good, and then got to fix. So White never took control at all. And probably one more bigger move is also 18, because this is going to force White to have to capture these stones now. Yeah, White's going to have to capture those stones. Whereas as soon as White gets here, because it's eye versus no eye, White's not going to have to capture. I think White does get that move. Yes. Yeah, and like right here, you could play A18. But yeah, again, overall, pretty solid game for both sides, actually. I think just, yeah, White was able to get that. And in fact, here, this is a minor mistake, because Black can actually throw in, because that reduces White's liberties. And now, if White connects... You see White's now down to 3 liberty. Yeah, this is a good endgame test strategy, is throwing in at the... Maybe. Doesn't keep track of that, but yes. So that means White would have to like go here, and then you would end up actually getting the squeeze anyways. Yes. Yeah. Yep. But yeah, I would just say, like, for really just timing, as well as Black could have attacked this left side a lot better, and used the Aji up top a lot better in this game. Oh, here's another cool efficiency thing. So this move, Black still needs to block when Black plays here, right? Or when White plays here. So you have to go here. So instead of you should play this one, yes. Yeah, so yeah, I've talked about it in the other games, but if this is the kind of efficiency that we got to strive for, yeah. So, yes. And all these games were close, so like this endgame stuff could have cost it, but yeah. Again, very good moves, but just there's always better moves, I guess. And that's kind of what both sides should really strive for. But for 9Ks, I'm very impressed. I'm very, very impressed. I think the final score, let's see. Yeah, black by black by 1.5. So yeah, very crazy. Yeah, and yeah, and again, you can just tell by the flow of the game, like no side was really getting an advantage. So it was really black's end game, I think, was slightly better than white's. But yeah, any final questions about this game? Okay. No, thank you for hanging out. And I guess that's it for the 3 games. So if you have any questions about it, please leave it in the comment section below, and I'll see you all in the next video.